Here we are, hours and hours of prep work, 2 days of committees, and many Zoom breakout sessions and Slack messages later. Here we are, the moment you've all been waiting for, awards. So, without further ado, here are our chairs and crisis directors to present their committee's awards.
Delegates, sponsors, staff, good afternoon. In his inaugural address to the nation on Wednesday, President Biden spoke of what he called cascading crises that face both our generation and our world. Indeed, the climate crisis, the coronavirus crisis, and the economic crisis that we face are daunting challenges. But perhaps unfortunately for the Biden administration, their help will no longer be necessary. As in the span of the past 48 hours, the GA Plen Committee that I had the honor of chairing has solved all of them. The delegates in this committee have put forward the most ambitious and well-thought-out resolutions that I've seen in this, my 8th and final year at HAMUN, and I think that each and every one of them should be proud of the work that they've done. Without further ado, I'd like to announce the awards. In third place with our Honorable Mention Award goes to Denmark from Seven Lakes High School. Our Outstanding Delegate Award goes to France, also from Seven Lakes High School. Lastly, our Best Delegate Award goes to Costa Rica from Glenda Dawson High School. Thank you guys for a wonderful 2 days. I really appreciate all the work that you've done, and I'll see you guys next year.
Hello delegates, my name is Arthur and I served as the chair for DISEC during this session of HAMUN. During these 2 days, we were able to discuss a ton about our two core topics, first being the use of foreign intervention into internal conflicts, as well as the second topic being the use of bioweapons in warfare. First, I'd like to thank all of our delegates for all their hard work and contributions to the success of our committee. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our awards. For our honorable mention, we have the United Kingdom from the Woodlands High School. Next, for our Outstanding Delegate Award, we have the delegation of Yemen from St. John's School. And finally, for our Best Delegate Award, we have the delegation of Ukraine from Dawson High School. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you to all of our delegates in DISEC.
Howdy delegates, this is your SOCHUM chair speaking, Miriam. This year's SOCHUM topics was addressing unregulated trafficking laws pertaining to human trafficking in Central America and the rights of stateless persons and self-determination regarding the Kurdish crisis. Now, picking the awards was actually a very hard decision due to the immense participation and thoughts of all the delegates in the room. More than 3 of you guys have won this conference, just know that. Alrighty, so getting on to the awards now. Starting with honorable mention, we have Italy from Austin High School. Moving forward for outstanding delegate, we have Peru from Travis High School. And last but not least, we have for best delegate, we have Turkey from Cinco Ranch High School. Good job to every single one of you guys, and hopefully this was a memorable conference for y'all. Bye-bye.
Good evening, esteemed delegates. My name is Nini Dang, and I have the wonderful privilege of being this year's Special Political and Decolonization Committee's Chair, or SPECPOL. This year, SPECPOL discussed the issues of global surveillance and telecommunications, as well as addressing asylum statuses and displacements in Syria and Iraq. So, over the last 2 days, we've created several wonderful resolutions from our genius delegates, and with that being said, I'd like to announce the awards for our committee. Starting with honorable mention, I'd like to congratulate Peru of William B. Travis High School. For outstanding delegate, I'd like to award the DPRK of the Village High School, and lastly, I'd like to give out best delegate to India of Shadow Creek High School. Thank you all for your hard work this year, and I can't wait to see you again. Thank you.
Good afternoon, delegates. I'm Anant Murthy, and I had the honor of chairing ECOSOC this conference. The Economic and Social Council intensely debated the issue of employment assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic and efforts to economize the environment to achieve carbon reduction. And in the spirit of multilateral cooperation, we were able to pass around 4 resolutions to address both these topics. And while I could go on and on about how fun and captivating my delegates were over the last 2 days, I'll move on to the part y'all are waiting for, awards. The awards for ECOSOC are as follows. The honorable mention goes to United Kingdom from the Woodlands High School. The Outstanding Delegate Award goes to France from Clearbrook High School. And last but not least, the Best Delegate Award goes to Turkmenistan from Clearbrook High School. I had an enormous amount of fun with all of y'all in committee. I hope you did too. All of y'all are going places, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Thanks.
Good afternoon, delegates, sponsors, and esteemed guests. My name is Isha Khan, and I had the honor of chairing the United Nations Development Program for HAMUN 46, along with my Vice Chair, Chandler Scott. We discussed the important issues of energy sustainability through renewable resources and the fate of women and girls in South Sudan. The body passed 4 total resolutions, combating the climate crisis through regulatory boards and aiding South Sudanese women in providing resources and aid through multi-country programs. We also heard more unorthodox discourse, like potentially reclassifying the USA and China as developing nations for the purpose of not being liable for climate disaster. This did not sit well with any of the member nations. And now I would like to announce the awards for the UNDP. Honorable mention goes to the Republic of Benin from Summer Creek High School. Outstanding delegate goes to the United Kingdom from the Woodlands High School. And the Best Delegate Award goes to Fiji from Glenda Dawson High School. Thank you, delegates from the UNDP.
This year, the UNEP committee was full of promising delegates that left my vice chair and I speechless. For majority of them, it was their first year, which left us only more impressed. The committee discussed the issues of novel entities and the negative impact from radioactive waste disposal. The committee was able to pass 3 resolutions, one of which came from a unanimous consent. My vice chair and I wish we could award everyone, however, the following stood out the most. Honorable mention goes to Iran from Hightower High School. Outstanding delegate goes to Japan from Clear Springs High School. And lastly, best delegate goes to Fiji from Dawson High School. Thank you, delegates from UNEP.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Alvarez, and I had the wonderful honor of being the United Nations Human Rights Council Chair, UNHRC. This committee discussed the important issues of mass incarceration of journalists around the globe, as well as addressing violence against immigrant and minority communities. The body passed several resolutions calling for the protection of both journalists and immigrant and minority communities. And without further ado, I'd like to announce the awards for this committee. Honorable mention goes to South Africa from Klein Collins High School. Outstanding delegate goes to China from Clements High School. And last but not least, the Best Delegate Award goes to Indonesia from Dawson High School. Congratulations and thank you, delegates from UNHRC.
Hi, my name is Nyung and I am the chair for the UNICEF committee. For this conference, we discussed the topic of the discrimination against children based on sexual orientation and gender identity and the humanitarian crisis in Yemen. We have successfully passed 4 resolutions to provide education, implements refugee support, and transport supplies between nations to Yemen. Delegates were fully engaged in debate and in taking the positions of their country. 3 delegates, however, stood out as being extraordinary in terms of being diplomatic, articulate, and inclusive. Now I would like to announce the award for the UNICEF Committee. Honorable Mention Award goes to the Delegation of Central African Republic from William B. Travis High School. Outstanding Delegate goes to the Delegation of the Netherlands from Cypress Ridge High School. And lastly, the Best Delegate Award goes to the Delegation of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea from the Village High School. Congratulations, delegates, and good luck in your future endeavors.
The UNESCO has discussed the 2 important issues of artificial intelligence and endangered languages. The body has passed 2 resolutions calling for saving and maintaining endangered and uncommon languages as part of heritage for countries. And With that, I would like to announce the awards for the UNESCO.
First up, we have honorable mention, which goes to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea from the Village High School. Outstanding delegate goes to Serbia from International Leadership of Texas, Katy West Park High School.
And Best Delegate Award would go to Caroline from Village High School for representing the country of Vietnam. Thank you, delegates from UNESCO, and we hope you have a great year.
Hello, everybody. I was the chair for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees Committee, and they discussed the important issues of resolving the Rohingya refugee crisis in Myanmar and enhancing food security in refugee camps. The body passed multiple resolutions, including resolutions that work together and complementing each other for the topic of resolving the Rohingya refugee crisis in Myanmar. They were excellent delegates, very responsible and dedicated, and I was very happily surprised to see just how much they collaborated with each other. I would now like to announce the awards for UNHCR. Honorable mentions go to the United States from the John Cooper School. Outstanding delegate goes to DPRK from the Village High School. And the Best Delegate Award goes to the Democratic Republic of the Congo from St. John's School. Thank you very much, delegates from UNHCR. It was a pleasure to be your chair. Clapping is now in order.
The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime discussed the important issues of combating military violence across the Sahel region and countering the financing of terrorism. We passed all 4 resolutions that addressed humanitarian aid, military intervention, democracy, and government stability in the Sahel. And now I would like to announce the awards for the UNODC Committee. Honorable mention goes to Chile from the Village School. Outstanding delegate goes to Jordan from Ridgepoint High School. And Best Delegate goes to Vietnam from the Village School. Thank you, delegates of the UNODC Committee.
The World Health Organization discussed 2 important topics, where one was infectious diseases of antibiotic resistance and anti-vaccine movements across the globe, and the other is aiding in disease control during humanitarian crises. The committee passed 2 resolutions for the first topic, which talked about different ways community leaders and religious leaders can get involved with preventing the belief of anti-vaccine. And I'd just like to announce the awards for the World Health Organization. So the honorable mention goes to Spain from Round Top Carmen High School. Outstanding delegate goes to India from Shadow Creek High School. And the Best Delegate Award goes to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea from the Village High School. Thank you, delegates from the World Health Organization.
Hello, my name is Pranitha Goli, and I had the honor and privilege of serving as the chair for Security Council for HAMUN 46. This year, our committee's topic included addressing the concerns of the territorial disputes in the South China Sea. And our committee passed 1 resolution titled the Green Resolution, which addressed environmental concerns in the area. And now, without further ado, I would like to present the awards for this committee. Outstanding delegate goes to Brady Patton of Summer Creek High School, representing the Russian Federation. And Best Delegate goes to Ellie Vahakos, representing Sweden from Memorial Senior High School. Thank you, delegates, for a truly outstanding conference. Even though this year was virtual, the level of debate and discussion was truly amazing.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Morgan Bates, and I was the chair this year for the Salem Witch Trials Crisis Committee. It is my honor to present the esteemed delegates that went above and beyond during this committee, whether it was throwing someone into the ocean a mile offshore or burning someone at the stake. We had a lot of fun doing it, and it was my pleasure to get to know and see the growth in all of my delegates. So without further ado, I'd like to first present the honorable mention, and that's from Hightower High School to Tanya Taiwo. Next, the outstanding delegate in this committee is from the village school, Aditi Ramesh Iyer. She was a witch during the Salem witch trials, which was not an easy role, and she went above and beyond to take advantage of the crisis committee. And lastly, we have our best delegate. And this is a delegate that was probably the most influential throughout our entire 2 days. He made the decisions, he made the judgment calls, and for that, he's awarded Best Delegate. And that's from Lutheran South Academy, Will Spencer. Congratulations to everyone. It was my honor and privilege to be here throughout these 2 days with y'all. Thank you so much.
Hello, delegates. Thank you so much for participating in this Brazilian Cabinet Crisis Committee. I know I had a lot of fun crisis directing, and this will be my very, very last time being a crisis director or any kind of a Model UN staffer in college since I graduate this semester, and couldn't have asked for a better committee to end that experience with. In our committee today, we assassinated 2 presidents in Brazil. We dealt with a weaponized virus, some domestic terrorism, and are potentially about to replace the entire Brazilian government with the Brazilian soccer team. So look forward to President Neymar Jr., folks. And without further ado, Marin is going to go ahead and announce the awards.
Yes, thank you, delegates, for making this such an enjoyable experience. This was actually my first time chairing a conference as a college student, and I had a ton of fun, and I really appreciate each of the delegates for really putting in the hard work and dedication to make this an enjoyable experience. So for moving on to awards, for outstanding delegate, we have from Glenda Dawson High School, we have Lula da Silva. And then for best delegate from the Village High School, we have Henrique Mereyes.
So congratulations to both of you and to everybody else in our committee. You guys did a fantastic job. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Huang, and I've had the privilege of chairing the Reaching the Next Frontier, the Colonization of Mars crisis. I am joined here by the amazing Crisis Director, Evan Engelhaupt, and the wonderful Vice Chair, Tyler Burkhart, who have both assisted me greatly in these past 2 days. Over the course of this tumultuous journey, delegates of this committee overcame issues such as radiation poisoning, supply shortages, and corporate and governmental agendas. We discussed ideas such as a proposal to put half the crew to sleep in what may or may not have been an attempted mutiny. And we held a fierce trial proceeding that resulted in a 100% acquittal rate for all 3 accused. However, in the end, despite these setbacks, this committee was able to work together to brave the unrelenting trek to Mars and achieve its ultimate goal of landing on the red planet and establishing a colony from which humanity can continue to look to the stars. And now, I would like to announce the awards for this committee.
First, the honorable mention goes to the delegate crew member Raymond DaCosta from Shadow Creek High School.
As for our outstanding delegate, this goes to the crew member Victoria Garcia, also from Shadow Creek High School.
And for best delegate, this goes to the crew member Sylvia Johnson from Clemens High School. Congrats, everybody. And yeah, thank you for everyone who participated in this crisis.
We wish you all the best.
Hi there,
Delegates. I was so honored to chair the War on the English Throne Crisis Committee for Normandy. We passed so many directives, trying at first to diplomatically solve the issues, and then we moved on to war and battle tactics. Not only that, we even caught a spy and put him on trial and then killed him and sailed him like a kite. I would now like to announce the awards for this committee. So the outstanding delegate goes to Roger de Mortimer, who was later Amory IV from Klein High School. And the Best Delegate Award goes to Walter Gifford from Cypress Ranch. Thank you so much for this amazing conference, delegates.
Hello, delegates. I'm Dia Sharma, and I was the chair for the Crisis Committee, the Battle for the English Throne, and the Britain Room. And I would like to say that even though we were a small committee, we only had 9 people. Every single delegate was like a cog in a well-oiled machine. We passed so many directives, we haven't even failed one yet. And everyone's been working together, speaking up, adding to the conversation. We've been so well organized, everyone's polite and respecting each other. I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished. Thank you, delegates. It was a great first HAMUN for me. And the moment that you've all been waiting for, the awards. So for Outstanding Delegate, it goes to Archbishop Steigan from Canterbury from the Street Jesuit Preparatory School. And for Best Delegate, it goes to Caddock, Earl of Cornwall from Shadow Creek High School. Thank you, delegates.
Hello, sponsors and delegates. I'm Sawad Kazi, and these past 2 days I had the pleasure of chairing the Norwegian Room in the English Throne Crisis. Even though we were a much smaller committee, these 7 esteemed Norwegian delegates worked together unlike any other committee I've chaired. Truly, they navigated the chaos of 1067 war-torn Europe like a well-oiled machine. Well, eventually. But even after failing at diplomacy with other countries multiple times, inciting a massive peasant rebellion, stranding basically all of their troops in Ireland, and putting their own top battle commander on trial, and coming this close to executing her for no good reason, the delegates managed to rewrite history and win the war. At least that's the way we're going to tell the story. So I want to thank and commend all of you for all your hard work. With that, the awards for the English Throne Norway Crisis. Outstanding Delegate goes to Axel Hazeltort from Cypress Ranch High School, and Best Delegate goes to Espen Jorian from Shadow Creek High School. Thank you, delegates, for making this one of the best crisis committees I've ever been a part of. Y'all were genuinely phenomenal.
Go.
Hi, my name is Deborah Jacob. I was the chair for the Chinese Civil War KMT Party crisis, and I just want to start off by saying how proud I am of you guys. You guys did an incredible job. My committee has passed a lot of directives and press releases, including one directive to address fictional fires running rampant across China, so props to y'all for creativity. But now for the part you guys have been waiting for. There were a lot of incredible candidates, and me and Parav, we appreciate all of the work that you guys did, but there were a couple of candidates that really stood out. So the first award, the Best Delegate, goes to Zhang Zhizhong Wen from St. John's School. And then the Outstanding Delegate Award goes to Chiang Kai-shek from Straight Jesuit School.
Good evening, comrades. My name is Shrikar Ranga, and I was the chair for the Chinese Communist Party faction of the Chinese Civil War. From the outset, the CCP's Red Army faced staunch opposition from the Japanese, the Russians, and those capitalist pigs in the KMT, as well as other imperial powers. Much of the decision-making process was made in unmoderated caucus, which made the award process especially difficult, even though those processes were very creative, and we passed many directives in the end. But now, moving on to those awards. For the Best Position Paper, from the International Leadership Academy of Texas, Katy West Park High School, we have Yang Jingyu. For outstanding delegate from Sai Ranch High School, we have Sheng Hui. And finally, last but certainly not least, best delegate from the Village School, Deng Xiaoping. Thank you, delegates, huzzah, and I'm sure that you will help see the one true China.
Hello, my name is Jackie, and I've had the pleasure of serving as a crisis director for the French Revolution Revolutionaries Committee. Delegates addressed crises ranging from the storming of the Bastille to the Austrian invasion of French borders. Multiple directives were passed addressing topics such as guerrilla warfare and the usage of chloride gas. A new constitution was established, the monarchy was overthrown, and a new France was created for the people, by the people. I'd like to thank the delegates for making my first time directing such a memorable experience and for confronting each crisis, they're not them, with such grace, passion, and fervor. I'm so proud of what y'all have each accomplished. And now, without further ado, I'd like to present the awards for the French Revolution Revolutionaries Committee. Outstanding delegate goes to Maximilien Robespierre from the Village School. And the best delegate goes to Antoine Barnave from Clemens. Thank you so much, delegates, and vive la revolution.
For the monarchists of the French Revolution, the committee had to discuss how to safeguard the monarchy from internal threats and how to reconcile it with Enlightenment ideals. The committee tackled various threats and various directives, such as tax reform and military reorganization. They stood up to a relentless onslaught by the Revolutionaries Committee through many means and through many fields. And now onto the awards for the French Revolution Monarchist Committee. For Outstanding Delegate, the award goes to Comte de Rochambeau of the Village School. For Best Delegate, the award goes to Charles X, aka Louis XVIII of Shadow Creek High School. Thank you all so much for participating fully in this committee, and we look forward to seeing where all of y'all go next. See you then.
Congratulations, delegates, on your awards. Awards will be mailed out to school sponsors over the next month. Next, here's Terry Bown to present this year's winner of the Flynn Family Scholarship.
My name is Ray Balch. I'm a member of the Board of Governors and chairman of the Andrea Flynn Scholarship Committee. I had the distinct pleasure of knowing Andrea Flynn. When I was a student at the University of Houston, I was asked, along with several other students, to come to Memorial High School and help this young teacher explain to her students all about the United Nations and how it worked, because she was doing a Model UN in her classroom. I had no idea that less than 10 years later, I would be bringing students to the Houston area Model UN, which was an outgrowth of what she did in the classroom. Andrea was a wonderful person, constantly asking questions, constantly wanting to improve students' knowledge of the world and of the United Nations and see how we are all interrelated, interdependent. And one of my favorite stories about Andrea is that when she was taking that last ambulance ride to the hospital, she made them stop and pick up the newspaper so she could read the newspaper on the way to the hospital. That is great. I am glad that we are able to give this scholarship in her memory, because she was a wonderful person, and I'm so thankful that I got to meet her. And now I'm going to turn things over to one of her daughters, Terry Bowen, who will make the presentation of the scholarship.
My purpose in being here today is to announce the winner of the $1,911 Andrea K. Flynn Scholarship. I am her daughter. But before I do, I want to tell you a story. In 1911, 110 years ago, a baby girl was born at the Catholic Hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She was premature, way too premature to survive, according to the doctors, less than 3 pounds. Her father asked, "Is there anything I can do?" And the doctors responded, "No, We're sorry, but she was born too soon. They shook their heads and quietly left him holding his hat. Suddenly, one of the Catholic sisters rushed up to him and whispered, "Are you really willing to try anything?" He nodded, tears in his eyes. She whispered for a few more moments and he agreed. The nun had told him that there was only one hope for the baby, and that was the sideshow at the circus downtown. They had a newfangled machine called an incubator that could keep a baby warm enough to survive if everything else went just right. So they wrapped her in a cotton blanket and put her in a small basket on his arm. On the streetcar, he wondered if he were doing the right thing. Of course, that meant that people would pay a nickel apiece to parade through the tent to stare at the miniature babies. At the circus, he swallowed his pride and made his bargain with the pitchman outside the tent. Yes, she could stay. There were only 14 incubators, but 13 of them held tiny babies already. The man took the baby from the father and said, "Tell your wife to take the streetcar into town 3 times a day to feed her, and she can stay." And that's what they did. And because of what they did, Andrea Kiefer survived, the only baby of the 14 who did. Survived to become Andrea K. Flynn, wife, mother, and grandmother. Interesting that this tiny woman, she was never taller than 4 feet 11 inches, should become the founder of the Houston Area Model United Nations. Could it be because she came from the kind of people who were willing to try anything for what matters? Could it be because she was always willing to make a spectacle of herself in a good cause? Or was it that there was a true giant in that little body? In any case, this is the 46th HAMUN. We can look back to Andrea K. Flynn with special affection for never giving up. She would be very proud of the work you have done and all the things that you have accomplished in this year's challenging conference in the time of COVID-19. Mom had an innate respect for cultures of the world and delighted in bringing people together. People of different ideas, different backgrounds, different heights. She believed so much in education, inquiry, and peace. She received a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Minnesota. She was a member of Phi Beta Kappa. She and my dad moved to Texas in 1935. In 1965, at age 54, she added a teaching certificate from the University of Houston to her resume and then taught world history at Memorial High School for 10 years. Andrea K. Flynn never stopped learning. She would be delighted that a scholarship is given in her name as proof of her faith in the future. She would wish that each of you were born too soon for a great idea and grasped the opportunity to pursue it for your lifetime. On behalf of my brother, Pat, my sister, Kathy, myself, and all who knew her, I am pleased to present the Andrea K. Flynn 1911 Scholarship for 2021 to Lyndon Walsh from Episcopal High School. Congratulations, Lyndon. Thank you.
This year, we've decided to bring back Delegation Awards, despite not having done so in years past. We plan on setting this precedent for future conferences. First, the award for Best Small Delegation goes to Clemens High School, and the award for Best Large Delegation goes to the Village School. Congratulations to both schools on their awards. Next, here's Matthew Moore, the chairman of our Board of Governors, on who will be our next Secretary General.
As we close the books on another HAMUN conference, I cannot help but stand in awe at all that you have accomplished as delegates. You made the choice to show up and give your best, not just for yourself, but also for your fellow delegates. Over these past 2 days, when there were a million things going on around you to tempt you to do otherwise, I thank you for making the choice to be here with us. That choice continues to make HAMUN the largest Model UN conference in the South, one of the largest in the country, and the best Model UN conference in the world. I commend and thank you for making HAMUN a success under very challenging circumstances. Once again, thank you to our sponsors for having Model UN at your school this year. In a year that can seem to lack normalcy, we all appreciate you trying to keep some of it going. To our seniors, thank you for being with us and for your dedication to HAMUN. Let me be one of the first and surely not the last to congratulate you on your upcoming commencement. Every senior year is different, but yours will likely be one of the most studied and remembered for generations to come. As you venture out into the next amazing parts of your life, please consider returning here as one of our collegiate staff. As a graduate of Conroe High School who attended HAMUN for 4 years, I am very happy that I made the decision to be part of HAMUN during my years at Sam Houston State University. It is an experience that I promise you will not forget nor regret. As I mention our staff, I want to commend them for all the work they have done. Our staff coming from universities in the Houston area, the University of Houston, Rice University, Sam Houston State University, across Texas, UT Austin, UT Dallas, Texas A&M, and across the country, Stanford University and Seton Hall University, is such a strength for us in the diversity of ideas they each bring, and a benefit for our staff to build relationships with people who they share something in common with, even if they don't go to the same school with them. We start planning for the next HAMUN shortly after the close of each conference, and our staff spends that time developing the topics for our committees and the different forms our crisis committees will take. What you have seen over the past 2 days is a result of their work and dedication to give you the amazing experience that someone else gave them years before. That continued commitment to give back is what makes our conference so extraordinary. Finally, I get to one of the most enjoyable parts of my job as chair. Ross, a product of Clements High School and the University of Texas at Austin, you have done an amazing job with HAMUN. Every Secretary General who has come before you, myself included, has their own story of how their conference was the most challenging and different. I am strongly convinced you may be the winner of that contest for years to come. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and dedication to our organization. I look forward to your upcoming term with us on the board as our immediate past Secretary General, helping to ensure the continuity of our conference. As the time of one Secretary General ends, another begins, as we plan for an in-person HAMUN 47 in January 2022. I would like to thank all of our staff who submitted applications for our Secretary General position, and please know that you did not make the choice an easy one. Now, it is my distinct honor and pleasure as Chair of the Board of Governors for Houston Area Model United Nations to introduce to you all a graduate of College Park High School and Conroe ISD, a student at the University of Texas, Dallas, Hamsini Ajjan, as the Secretary General of HAMUN 47. Congratulations.
Thank you, Matthew, and congratulations, Hamsini. Hamsini has been an invaluable officer within our Office of the Secretary General this past year, and I have no doubt that she'll do a tremendous job of leading this conference over the next year. It's hard to believe just how quickly a year goes by. Exactly 1 year ago, the first cases of COVID were reported in Texas, and I soon realized how vastly different the role I would have just assumed would be over the next year. There were at least a handful of times when we questioned whether this conference would even happen, even as recently as this past fall, especially with the pandemic growing dramatically worse than it was even just a few months ago. There's simply never been a more adverse year in the history of this conference, and I'm so proud of all our officers for doing what needed to be done to make this a reality. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties yesterday, especially with the opening ceremony. Definitely got off to a little bit of a rough start initially, but we promised we weren't trying to do our best rendition of last year's Iowa caucuses. Things don't always go as planned, but that's just life. I've learned at least that much in the time of leading HAMUN 46 over the past year. But now it's time to hand it off. I'll be stepping back to maybe some other role within next year's OSG, while, as Matthew said, Hamsini will take over as Secretary General. Thank you all for an amazing year, and I hope to see you all back here again next year, this time though in person.
Thank you so much, Ross, for doing such an amazing job this year as HAMUN 46's Secretary General. I'm super excited to be serving as the Secretary General for HAMUN 47, and conference is adjourned. I look forward to meeting all of you guys at conference next year.